As uncomfortable as I may be in a class, I get excited over knowing that I can learn and I can challenge myself and I can observe the great dancers around me. Even if that means I'm in a room of 1,000 people, I am okay with being the worst one because I love dance so much. One, two, I love the learning process probably equally as much. Hi, everyone. My name is Priscilla Piper, and welcome to the Decision to Dance podcast. In today's episode, I will be talking about why I will always be okay with being the worst dancer in the room. Let's go ahead and get into today's episode. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you enjoy. In one of my Instagram posts from a few years ago, I said in the copy, when I had returned to dance, I had a moment where I thought to myself, you know what, I'd rather be the worst dancer in a room of 1,000 people than not have dance in my life. And I think I thought that because I was going through a challenging time returning to dance, thinking about how hard it was, how I wasn't doing very well in class or in classes, and just had a moment of like, you know what, no matter how bad I am, no matter how many people are in this room and how much better they are than me, I'm going to be okay with that because I love dance so much that I'm just lucky and thankful to be there. And that statement I think holds true to today and has been for many years of my life. That's just my authentic state. I love the process of learning as a dancer. That doesn't mean that it's fun to be the worst dancer in the room. It's definitely not. It can feel very discouraging, especially when you're in a room of a lot of great dancers, but also even a small room of dancers with just a couple of other people, and you feel like you're not at the same level as everyone else. It's definitely not easy. But when you can enjoy the process and recognize that it's only up from there. That's the good news. You can only get better. And yes, you can stay stagnant, but I would encourage you to see that as an opportunity that you have to get better, and that's exciting. And the scary part to me is the number of people that will never take a class because they care so much about not being the worst dancer in the room. They're too scared of being the worst dancer in the room that it prevents them from showing up. And when I hear that from people, I get scared. It really concerns me. And that's why I'm talking about it, because I think a lot of people think this if they're not saying it out loud. You know, I will say I'm not a fearless person. I have been scared of showing up, of being the worst one in the room, or the one that's not as smart, or the one that's not as experienced, or just the odd one out, whatever it is. It can be uncomfortable. And I've been in that type of situation many different times in my life in various atmospheres. But even when I'm scared and even when I'm uncomfortable, 9 times out of 10, I will still eventually do the thing that I'm scared of. It might take me some time to get there. It might take me a few years mentally to get there, but odds are I will eventually show up because I genuinely love the process of improving, of getting better. When I'm not the best one in the room and I'm not the smartest one in the room, that actually excites me, as uncomfortable as it can be, because I know that I can learn from the people around me, take the insight that everyone else is sharing, observe other people, what are they doing that I like, take all of that in with me, and I'm going to practice it for myself. I know in the long run, 6 months to a year to 2 years or longer, it's going to benefit me. But when we come back to dance specifically, I'm the same way with dance. As uncomfortable as I may be in a class, I get excited over knowing that I can learn and I can challenge myself and I can observe the great dancers around me. Even if that means I'm in a room of 100 plus people, if I'm in a room of 1,000 people, I am okay with being the worst one because I love dance so much. One, two, I love the learning process probably equally as much. And I'll be honest, I don't know if all dancers think that way. My assumption is not, although I think many do think that way, but I think especially for people who are returning to dance later in their lives or are starting dance as adults, but also I'm going to say the dancers who have grown up consistently as well in dance and have continued to do it. I think there are quite a few dancers out there who are comfortable with their X number of styles that they're good at, and then they don't want to get into that other style because I don't know if their ego can take that hit. I'm just making assumptions here, but I think that's true for some. So I think this applies to everybody across the board, no matter if you are advanced or a beginner. So if you ask yourself if you are okay with being the worst dancer in the room, and if your answer is no, I'm going to ask you why. Why are you not okay with that? You don't have to be the best one. It's okay to be the worst one because if you love what you're doing, what does it matter if you're the worst one? That may mean that our self worth isn't exactly where we want it to be, right? I mean, that's a spectrum. But if you care so much about other people and their opinions on you and where you stand in comparison to everybody else, I'm not sure if how you feel about yourself is where it needs to be. And that's not really a comfortable conversation to have. That's not really a comfortable thought to have about yourself. But let's be real. That's life. That's real life. And that's why I'm talking about this. And I know exactly how this all feels. But if you can recognize that, then maybe you can start to work towards actually placing the value that you have on yourself within yourself versus putting it in the hands of other people. And also, maybe our self worth shouldn't be dependent on how good of a dancer we are. Maybe it shouldn't be based on how good we are or how bad we are as a dancer. And at the end of the day, if dance is taken away from us, then what do we have? You know, if what you care about is that, then maybe your self-worth shouldn't be dependent on dance at all. And if you are a dancer, your life is dance and you very much value and are proud of the work you've put in, how much you've grown, your talent, your skill set, everything that you have to offer. But I would still say that if you care a lot about the opinions of your teachers, the opinions of your classmates, whether you know them or not. And it's okay to value that, but not put 100% of your value in their hands. And if you're feeling that way, like you care more about their opinion than your opinion on yourself, that's not really a long lasting way to be a dancer. Because also it's inevitable that somebody or people may not like what you do, may not think you're that great of a dancer. That's why you have to be secure in who you are. And that doesn't mean that you won't have your moments, of course. But I think if you pair high self worth, high self value, along with the hunger and desire to learn and grow as a dancer, I think one day people will ask you how you did it. Maybe not immediately, may take some time depending on where you're at. But I think if you pair those things together, you can literally do whatever you want. And people will see that. But also, if you're not excited about being the worst one in class because that means that you have potential to learn and grow, then I will challenge you to ask yourself, is this something that you really love? Because I feel like it shouldn't matter where you stand in that class if you love what you're doing. And I feel like a lot of people listening probably maybe don't really need to hear this piece of what I'm saying because I'm sure you love dance, but you may know people who have felt this way. Or maybe you hit a place later on in your experience where you're feeling something similar. Because I feel like if you love something, it shouldn't matter if you're the worst one or not. Because you get to enjoy it and you get to do it. Like, what a privilege. Not everyone is able to do the things that you enjoy. So I think asking yourself why you do this will help you have a better clarity around everything, because that why will help you know if this is something that you truly love or not. And if so, then I think that care about what other people think should really go out the window. So if you aren't in that headspace right now and you do care about where you stand in comparison to everyone else in class, then I would ask yourself why you do this, why you dance. And I would ask yourself that every day, every class, as often as you need to constantly remind yourself why you're doing this, and your actions and your behaviors will follow suit. But you have to constantly reinforce that mindset and where you're coming from to help those behaviors support your love and your why and your decision to dance. So my hope is that everyone adopts some type of a mindset that's similar to this, because I feel like it's been so incredibly helpful for me. And I've had people in my life just tell me that this is something that stands me apart from other people. Like, it's just something that I've always valued in my life, no matter where I was, no matter what phase of life I was in. I was always trying to improve and always trying to get better. And I am really good at that. I'm really good at seeing the opportunity. And like, I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to quit when things are hard. And sometimes that's not always a good thing. Sometimes I'll keep going longer than I should with stuff. But if I know that there's something that I can learn and there's something that I could maybe offer as well, then I'm going to keep going. And I'm thankful for that, which is why I'm sharing this perspective and this approach, because it's been very helpful and beneficial for me as a dancer, but also just in my life. And I would say, if you are in a room at work with your friends, meeting people for the first time, or in a dance class, wherever you are, if you are the worst one in the room, the one that's not as experienced, one with the least amount of education, the one who has less skills than everybody else, the one who is not as smart as everyone else. I mean, all of that's so subjective anyway. So is being the worst dancer. Like, who really can determine that, right? But I would encourage you, if you are in any of those positions from here on out, I would get excited over it. It's going to be uncomfortable. Like, I recognize the discomfort, and I've been there so many times. But see that as an opportunity. Who can you learn from in that circle? Who has more experience than you? What did they do that you're not doing? What can you take away from a conversation? What can you take away by observing somebody else? What can you take away by the person who's two positions above you? What are they doing well? What can you pinpoint that you like, that maybe you can take and put your own spin on it? Because in my opinion, whenever I leave a job or any kind of a circumstance, I always want to leave better than I came, with more experience, more education, more skills, more confidence, and then do it again, right? If you leave a job, I want to feel that way, and then go to the next job and do the same thing, right? Same for dance. When I leave a class, I want to feel like I gained something, and I'm going to practice that for next time and try it again and do it again, and see, what can I take away from this next class? What can I take away from this teacher that's different from this other teacher? Maybe I don't love the majority of what this one teacher does, but there's this one thing that I that I enjoy or that I'm taking away. You get what I'm saying? This constant assessment and seeing almost like the good in everybody. And I would say there's probably going to be stuff that you don't want to implement, right? Whether in dance or in other areas of your life. But what I would say with that is recognize those things and know that you never want to implement those things. Or you can understand where they're trying to come from and approach it differently. So I would use all of that as opportunities within your dance life, but also your professional life and your personal life and all other areas of your life. To me, that's what makes life exciting is that there's opportunity to grow and learn. And it's boring to me if I just stay the same. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to keep learning and getting better and developing myself over time. And that's what keeps me going. I feel like that's what keeps life exciting for me. Thank you for watching or listening. I appreciate you all. I hope you enjoyed. And if you got something out of this podcast, I would appreciate you to follow the podcast. That way, other dancers can also find our episodes and benefit from them. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. And I will see you all in the next episode.